Today, part 2 of simplifying the starch solution, so stick around. Hi, Debbie Chu here from Chew on Vegan, and welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a plant-based RN and I follow the starch solution. The Starch Solution is a program that was developed by Dr. John McDougall, and on his program I was able to lose those last 15 menopausal pounds. The Starch Solution is a starch-centered diet, whole food, plant-based, no oil. If you'd like more information on the Starch Solution, I will leave a link to his book, The Starch Solution, in the description box below. On my channel, you're going to find quick and easy whole food plant-based recipes that are not only no oil, they are gluten-free. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video, which is every Tuesday and Saturday. And for more plant-based content, you can follow me on Instagram at Chew on Vegan. And if you're new to this way of eating, or maybe you've been doing it a while but feel like you need some more support, I created a Facebook group. And there you will find like-minded people, recipes, inspiration, and best of all, support. And if you're still not convinced that a plant-based diet is right for you, I created an e-guide that explains the benefits of a plant-based diet. And be sure to sign up for my newsletter that comes out every other month. And in my newsletter, I will address different topics, some from a nursing perspective. You'll see tips, tricks, and recipes. I will leave a link to these resources in the description box below, along with links for other things like my favorite kitchen gadgets. So check out everything in the description box below. So if you haven't watched part 1 of Simplifying the Starch Solution, I will leave a link to that up here or over here. I'm never sure where it's going to show up. And I suggest that you watch that one first. But if you've already seen it, then let's move forward. And we're going to expand on what I showed you in part 1. So by now you have gotten down that you need a starch, you need a veggie, and you need a sauce. And that is the simplest way to start the starch solution. You know, you do that for about a week or two, and then you can expand. And you want to add some beans and legumes and maybe some tofu or tempeh. And you want to start maybe putting together some recipes and just moving it up to the next level. It's still going to be super simple. You're just going to keep adding to your knowledge base. Start off with the veggie, starch, and sauce, move up to some beans, legumes, and then maybe you want to add some tofu or tempeh, and then you'll want to add some salads, things like that. And that kind of rounds out your diet. And then once you get out of your weight loss phase and you're into maintenance, then you can add more breads and pastas, some avocados, things that are a little higher in fat. But for right now, if you're trying to lose weight, get healthy, then I would just stick with the basics. And I always suggest that people read the Starch Solution. It's the best place to start. Dr. McDougall does such a beautiful job explaining the Starch Solution and the science behind it. There's recipes in the book, so it's a great resource. I reference it all the time. So today I'm going to show you, it's not even a recipe, it's how you can throw some ingredients together and make a really quick dinner or lunch. So let's get started. Now this is one of the easiest dinners you can put together. I have some rice, I have a can of garbanzo beans, and I have a bag of frozen broccoli that I'm going to throw in the microwave. And while that's cooking, I'm going to throw this in a pan and we're going to spice it up a little bit. Now you don't even have to do that with the garbanzo beans. You could just open the can, rinse and drain, and eat them as is. But I'm going to just put a little spice on there. I think it adds a good variety, nice flavor. So right now I'm going to throw this in the microwave and then we'll go over to the stove and I'll show you how easy it is to make these garbanzo beans. And then we've got our rice all ready to go. So it is important that you do prep some things. If you work Monday through Friday, I would do this on the weekend. Just make some rice, bake a bunch of potatoes. You'll have your frozen veggies in the freezer, and then just get a bunch of canned garbanzo beans, black beans, pinto beans, white beans, and you're set. So on medium heat in a nonstick pan, I highly recommend investing in a good nonstick pan. You can get some really good pans and they don't have to be super expensive. This is the Always pan, and yes, this one is expensive, but you don't have to spend this kind of money on a nonstick pan. Okay, tablespoon of water to start, and then I want to add a teaspoon of coconut aminos, Or you could add soy sauce, or you could add liquid aminos. But for right now, I'm just gonna start with this, medium heat. Simple, it'll give it a little bit of flavor. We're gonna add our garbanzo beans, and then we're gonna just stir them around. These garbanzo beans did have salt on them. If you prefer to use garbanzo beans no salt, then I would look for those. I don't have a problem with salt, but I do rinse them very thoroughly because they are heavily salted. And the 3 spices that I recommend are onion powder, and we're just gonna sprinkle it on. Don't even need to measure. Smoked paprika. And then some, I like the Kirkland granulated garlic. The garlic powder works fine too. And then we're just gonna stir this around and let these cook in these spices for a little bit. And if you need to add a little bit more water, if they're starting to stick, but I just let these cook in here for a few minutes just to get the flavors on here. Now let me show you how I build my plate. So I've got my rice in here, and this is what their garbanzo beans will look like. This is perfect. So I'm gonna add some of those to my plate. And I consider these a starch, so half my plate will be rice and beans. And I like to drain the veggies when they come out of the microwave because you get a lot of water because they're frozen. And then the rest of my plate will be veggies. Now this is 1 pound of veggies, which I can eat no problem. You probably want about that much, close to 1 pound, but this is perfect. So we've got half of our non-starchy vegetables, we've got some rice, we've got some beans, so we've got some protein, we've got fiber, and it is low cal, low fat, but we're not done yet. We have to have a sauce, right? So I'm gonna use my Trader Joe's sweet chili sauce. Any chili sauce will do. And then you just eyeball it. You don't wanna douse it, but you want a good amount. You can put a little bit on your chickpeas, garbanzo beans, then on your veggies. And I think that's a fair amount. You know, maybe a couple tablespoons. And then if I want seconds, I will build my plate exactly the same way. I will probably eat the rest of the veggies and then a little bit more rice and a little bit more of the garbanzo beans. So that is, to me, a perfect plate. This broccoli takes about 6 or 7 minutes. We let the garbanzo beans cook for about 5. So that's how fast you can make dinner if you've got your rice ready. And it's pretty quick and it's pretty easy. I think anyone can do this, even if you don't cook or say you're not a cook. This is more like assembling, heating up and assembling. So let's give this a taste. So this is the finished plate. I cut up my broccoli a little bit smaller so they're more bite-sized. They come out pretty large in that package. So let's give this a taste. Get some broccoli with the sauce, a little bit of rice. It's so good. And so simple. I think anyone can do this. Now I will be doing a part 3 where I will go a little bit deeper into things, but for right now, I just want you to focus on part 1 and part 2, and then we'll move on to part 3 shortly. But that way you can build on what you're learning. If you've made it this far in the video, please comment below with sweet chili sauce, and that way I know you've made it to the end with me, and I really appreciate it. And if you liked this video, if you got value, if it was helpful, you learned something, please hit the like button. It really helps my channel to grow. I appreciate all your support, and remember that all my recipes are good for you, they're good for the animals, and they're good for the planet, and what you put on your plate determines your fate. Until next time, thank you. I will leave a link to all these resources in the description box. And that is just the simplest way to start. Suggest investing in, I highly suggest investing, oh my gosh, I can't even talk. Sure.